Services. So I'm going to pass this down to our forum to introduce themselves, and we'll bring it back to questions.
Thank you, Blake. My name is Bradley Rollman. I am the Director of Operations for the Best Western plus Hilltop Inn and CR Gibbs American Girl off Hilltop Drive. We've been around coming up on 50 years. Our establishment's been there, so with our current ownership, and I'm really excited to be here. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Erin Ross. I am the General Manager of the Redding Public Market. I am probably the newest to this industry on this panel, so I just want to say that now. I come to this very humbly and maybe have learned something, but have a lot left to learn still. So.
Thank you. My name is Tessa Borquez, and my business is Alacrity Destination Services. I'm honored to be up on the panel because while Erin might be new, I'm a unique person up here. A lot of my business is done here in Redding, but a lot of it is also about taking my clients out to find the right destination, and that may be elsewhere. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Good evening. Israel Mora. I'm the General Manager of the Sheraton, and as well as Mosaic Restaurant, Branch House, and we do a lot of catering in the whole Turtle Bay area.
Thank you. Let's give our panel a round of applause. Okay. So I want to help our panel out with just a little bit of audience participation. How many of you are here for startup and starting up your own business? Raise your hand. Okay, we have a few people. How many are in hospitality services, whether that's restaurant or hoteling or anything? Raise your hand. We have a few. How many are in social media? Raise your hand if you are doing social media. Okay, good. Am I missing anything for you guys? Is there any questions, you guys? Any people that we're looking for? How many of you want a successful Redding that we can all be proud of? Okay, well, good. Well, then this is the right panel for us to talk to, because they run organizations that really put Redding on the map and make it a unique destination to visit. So, and also a lot of people have institutional knowledge on this stage. So I want to kind of go through here. We just finished with Kool April Nites. I would consider this one of the bigger events that we have in the city of Redding that bring a lot of visitors out from the area, much like Ironman is doing. I want to go down starting with Sheraton Hotel. How do you guys prepare for big events like this and accommodating all the new visitors that come here for one specific event?
I'd say we're kind of spoiled that we do a lot of big events, so we're used to it. We're staffed up. We have a lot of on-call employees, so we always have enough employees. We don't have to just hire for these events. As you probably know, we do Gardens of Lights and Going Wild, and so we have a lot of part-time employees, and that helps us to be flexible when these things happen. And the thing to think through is all the little details, right? Controlling our parking lot when the Civic Center is so busy was critical. We had to staff the driveways to make sure people weren't using our parking spots instead of that. And just thinking through all the little details. Okay, and I would say the same thing. Where are people going to park for the swim and the biking and the run? And I know there's transportation issues and all that, but those are the details that'll matter to the people coming to the city to see those events. If they can't get from point A to point B to point C, that won't reflect well on us. So those are the little things that we need to look at.
Lovely. Mm-hmm. We'll pass it over to Tessa. You're in destination services. What are some ways that you partner with Kool April Nites and large events that come here specifically for here?
So this year was actually the first of my 9 years in Redding that I did not participate in Kool April Nites. I've been quite busy with activities elsewhere. But typically, my business is like a liaison between nonprofits or businesses and the visitors that they're trying to attract. So I work with them to help to market, to spread word, to pull in volunteers. I kind of get involved wherever I can because this, just like Kool April Nites, Ironman is a citywide event. So we can't be in our silos and thinking that we're only a restaurant or only an Uber driver or, I'm this hotel in this location. It's really important for everybody to be a cohesive team for these citywide events. So I just try to help as Alacrity Destination Services and personally Tessa wherever I can. in those events.
I love it. Aaron, this is, we'll pass the mic to Aaron. So, Public Market, you guys opened in December. Your first opening night was the Christmas tree lighting, where there was around 2,000 people that showed up on Market Street. And that was your first night and handled it pretty well.
It was chaos.
But you have a unique organization where, have you all been to Public Market? Yes, I love that. Okay, so you have restaurants, bars, grocery store. You just experienced Kool April Nites. What are some things that you've learned from these large events that you're going to be applying to something like Ironman, where we're going to get everybody once again to close down the street and for that niche market? What are some things you've learned so far?
Well, for my particular role, I represent ownership, and so it's a little bit interesting the way that the dynamics of the market are. Is for some of the businesses, I'm just a point of contact for the landlord or the property manager, or just kind of a go-between. And so I don't have much control operationally over those particular businesses. But we do own several of the businesses in the market. We own Noni's, we own the Heads or Tails Bar, we own the gift shop, and we own San Marzano Market. So with those particular businesses, there's a little bit more that I'm able to do operationally to try to just raise the standard, and try to, it's always about service. It's always about guest experience. And so me being pretty new to the industry, those logistical challenges are really real, and you have to work through them. And, you don't always know exactly what the solution is. You kind of have to do a little trial and error. So we learned a lot with that first event, and just everything from crowd control to queuing, where are people going to line up? What's the flow of traffic? Where are the bottlenecks? Are people able to move freely around the market? Is the restroom line too long? Do we have the right kind of toilet paper? All of those things. We definitely learned a lot through the process. So without getting into the details, just finding ways to provide faster, better, more cohesive service, and training the staff to really look at that guest not as just random people coming in and out of the market, but as somebody that has spent their hard-earned money, has chosen to come and spend their time with us, and really trying to instill value for the guest in the staff is something that has been talked about a lot. When we first opened, we weren't really sure what level of service we were going to be able to provide, as far as, are we just you take your tray to the bus station and you take your own trash and you take your own glasses. And we decided pretty early on that we wanted to go above and beyond a little bit more. So trying to, clear people's tables and, those kinds of things, and really putting an emphasis on service.
I heard there were robots that were supposed to help out with clearing tables too, and that was a lesson.
Well, there's a story there too that I won't get into, but the long story short is that they didn't work. So you cannot really replace people with robots. So
see, there it is, people. Okay, well, let's pass it to Bradley. So, don't replace people with robots, okay? Brad, you and your dad, first I think this is a special one, because we have Aaron, who's, Public Market's really new. Israel, you've been here for 1 year, and Tessa, you've been starting this. Brad, you and your dad have a legacy here with C.R. Gibbs and Best Western. What was that like for your dad to start this business in Redding, and have you guys seen Redding transform with all of these larger and larger events?
You threw me for a loop on that one. I thought I was going to talk about Kool April Nites, and I was getting all
I'll get there, yeah.
My dad's been in the business. Actually, he's been there longer than the ownership currently has, so he's actually been there for 51 years, same job. I don't know how he does that every day, same job every day. So he started out from the bottom, created an opportunity for himself. The current ownership partnership, saw potential in him, and he got started in the restaurant side, and they incorporated some other properties along the way, and he cut his teeth down in the Bay Area, running multiple different restaurants, and moved into the hotel side, a number of years ago. And he's been very influential in the community itself, but they really focus, and it kind of got instilled in me that, it's not all about the money, it's about the community. And so we're heavily involved in the community as a business and on our personal lives. So that's why I think it's important that, I can be here to shed as much light as I can on anything. It's CR Gibbs and the Best Western. We're not a huge corporation. We do fly the Best Western flag. We're all independently owned, so that kind of we don't have the resources that a lot of the major hotels have. But we've created a niche in the market where we have great employees. They stay for a long time typically. They don't come in and out. So that really sets a tone, and they have an ownership mentality themselves. So they have pride in what they do, and I think we invest just as much in our employees as we do our facilities. So I think that plays a big role.
How has Redding transformed from you guys starting out to all these larger events, and now we're getting Ironman? What's been the learning curve, and how do you guys navigate that?
So there was a guy named Shorty. He used to work for Anheuser-Busch in town, and he told me one time, "You don't know what you don't know what you don't know." And the reason I say that is, after we've been on the parade route for Kool April Nites for a number of years, and every time we have a new season coming in, we learn from the last. So it's never, we know exactly what to expect. This is how it's going to go. There's always something. We're dynamic, we're fluid, we change, people change, generations change. Over the years, Kool April Nites is one of the biggest events. I think, the downtown public market is a great new thing we have in our area. The revitalization of downtown. We're not just a freeway, town anymore. We have parks and trails and outdoor activities and more things to do that are kind of like a big little city now. So it's obviously changed geographically. The businesses, the housing, all that stuff. But I think that it's also changed for the better. Our community is stronger because we're always investing back in our community.
I love it. I want to hit for you guys especially, because we can hit corporate and running the businesses, but as individuals, what's the most important thing for you to ensure that you're in your best capacity for overall a hospitable experience for guests that you interact with every single day? For each of you, what gets you prepped for the day and for yourself? Because a lot of the individuals here are going to be running their businesses alone, and there might be some good advice for what gets you in the spirit to help others.
Well, I think personally, having a positive attitude goes a long ways. So people say I'm always happy, I'm always smiling. Life's good. What can we say? But making the best of things is so important. And then you spoke about building, employee loyalty and culture. Sheraton is a Marriott. Marriott's all about culture and taking care of the employee. J.W. Marriott said, take great care of your employees, they will take great care of your guests. And that's what we believe. We try to preach it, we try to show it. And I think that's kind of how I live my life, is treat people well, take care of them, and they'll pass that along.
And what got you in this industry?
Sorry?
What got you in this industry yourself?
People. I love people.
That's what it was.
So I've been management my whole life. Started out in restaurants and then moved on to hotels. And hotels are a great industry. Yeah.
I love that. Let's pass it over to Tessa.
Same question. So the question was, what do I do to prepare myself?
Especially for social media and making yourself, knowing that you're going to be an ambassador for the city of Redding and things that you want to be prepared for to give people the best experience.
I start my mornings with a sound bath. So for those of you who don't know, I also do sound therapy, but I really do. Vibrational sound therapy really helps me fall into a deeply meditative state. Allows me to have an attitude of gratitude, and when things become stressful, because they do in so many logistics and there's so many layers and so many players, when stress sets in, I'm able to kind of go back to that meditative space, humming or breathing or doing whatever I can to settle the nervous system. But also, to address the people, I got into this business because I love people and I love interacting and connecting with people. And so remembering that when I'm stressed out, when something didn't go the way that I expected to go, that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and the more compassionate we can be with each other and the more that we can work together, the better everybody's day is going to be. So I just try to carry that positive attitude. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's great.
I start my morning with a cup of coffee.
This became more of a self-care question.
A prayer.
What are some things that get you set to, because you're working with a lot of different individuals. You're working with employees, you're working with patrons, you're working with permits and city officials, and anything can go wrong or anything can go right. So what prepares you? What are your best advice for the business owners or people that are starting up to, get you prepped for anything can happen that day? And what's the things that you've learned from things that have gone wrong, and how do you rectify that?
Well, I'm still learning this. When I kind of think back to our opening, which openings are a thing. They're a whole thing in and of themselves. So anyone who's ever been a part of an opening, it's a special thing. It's a big thing. It's a special thing. You probably can attest. Yeah, it's just high energy, high nerves, high anxiety, high pressure. Not a lot of sleep. So I think I probably went 3 or so months, maybe 4, working about 60 to 70 hours a week, wow. not even kidding, So by the time we opened, I was pretty gassed and really just needed to figure out how to normalize. And so I'm just now getting to that place where I feel more normal. I have a more normal schedule. I have a more normal headspace. So that's been really important for me. I would say a big one too is sense of humor, because keeping a sense of humor, we have stories that felt really big and scary in the moment, but now they're hilarious. It's hilarious. And so there were just so many times when, myself and my colleague or, some of the people I was working with would just look at each other and be like, really? Just crack up laughing and keeping a sense of humor. And then the third thing I would say is just being thankful for that guest. Every guest that walks through the door, I'm so thankful when I get to talk to someone and they're like, it's my first time here, we love it so much, we're from out of town, or whatever their story is, and people have a good experience. That really is huge, and I'm always thankful for it. And so if I can kind of see everyone through that lens of thankfulness that they've chosen to come and spend their time with us, that's huge for me.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Brad. Same question, because it's a family business, and you guys have always your dad seems to know everybody's names who walk into the store. You guys ensure that you have your regulars. So what are some things that you do to prepare as well and make sure every guest has that great experience?
It's a good question. So, I think our main thing is we try to be proactive instead of reactive to things, and we try to assess, the big picture and try to find where maybe, certain choke points might be, or, where extra stress might lie. And so we're very good about communicating with our employees. We have regular meetings. We probably have more meetings than most restaurants that they've worked in. We have one once a month. So it can be kind of excessive, but being communication, making sure we're prepared operationally. We make sure that we can execute things consistently, and that just comes from training and being around. I have the opportunity to lean on Ed, the general manager, part owner. He's also my dad. He's lived through most things, and he has some sort of input or answer. So I think being able to take constructive criticism and turning that into something productive is how I operate, my property. And going back to the making sure that your employees are happy, I think is great, because if they're disgruntled, then the customer is probably not going to have a good experience. So just creating that warm, friendly family environment, and with still having standards, I think is important. Yeah.
So to go back for everybody, I think what I got from this for a good hospitality, employee, and leadership: love of people, self-care, a sense of humor, work-balance life, because it sounds like you all put a lot of hours beyond what the job really asks for initially, and be proactive. Does that sound right for everybody? Okay, I love this. Okay, I want to pass this back over, because for guest experiences, for us in downtown Redding, we love that we want, what I look for a downtown Redding experience is open storefronts, walkable streets, make sure no trash is on the streets, and arts and culture, murals for things for people to look at. What are some things for your own establishments that you guys look out for a good guest experience?
Well, I've only been here a year, and what I'll tell you about Redding is everyone smiles and greets you and says hello. Goes a long ways. I mean, we work at that in our culture in our hotels, and here in Redding it already exists. I mean, it's very special to walk down the street. If you want to talk, you stop and somebody will talk to you. I mean, it's a great culture that Redding already has. So.
And you came from LA?
Yes.
And they're not doing it down there?
It's not the same. That's assuming you get off the parking lot we call the 405 freeway. Yes, so walking here is more common, and people walk places and do a lot of exercise, hiking and all that. And you can do it in LA, but you got to drive a long ways to do it. So this is just it's very community, it's very people, it's already the culture, like I said, here. So we just continue that model in our business, and of course, our job is to greet, to always have a smile, to find a way to help you in what you need, and just have that open mind to find a solution. That's what we do.
I love that. Pass it over to Tessa.
Sorry, I don't know how this question applies to me, but ask it again so I can.
What are things that you look out for a good guest experience?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I think that everybody else here is probably going to answer based on, like their own venue, possibly, maybe not, maybe they'll do their own lens. But for me, I start by looking at the venue where we're going to be staying the night, of course. But it's not about the hotel or about where we're going to have dinner, right? It's about the city itself. So when I'm looking for a good guest experience, I'm looking beyond the one venue, beyond the hotel or one restaurant or Yelp. I'm really digging into the Visit Redding, the RTMG, or whatever that group, the Visitor Bureau might be. I'm looking at the city's website. I'm looking at Facebook, and I'm looking at how the city is speaking of themselves before I take a guest to experience that. So then bringing it back home for a positive guest experience, I'm looking for eye contact, I'm looking for connection, I'm looking like somebody who's talking to us like they want us there. Somebody earlier said something about like feeling whether or not you're wanted. And I think that that's a really, really important thing to remember is all guests, all visitors who come into your business are important, but oftentimes we can begin to treat our neighbors, our friends, the ones that we know, different than the stranger who walks in the door. And so I think it's really, really important to remember that everybody who walks in the door is an important person for you to connect with, and to treat that first-time visitor as if they are your best friend and connect with them. And it's incredible what we learn when we have conversation. And somebody even said earlier, like that maybe the racers coming out ahead of time or something, like they're already here, And so for Ironman or any visitors, oftentimes they're ahead of their trip. They're coming out and scouting the location or the store before they shop there, before they make major purchases, and they spend their hard-earned dollars. So treating everybody as if they are your neighbor, a warm, smiling greeting goes a long way, and that's something that I look for, that felt experience of them wanting me to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Aaron, it's the same question, but I'm going to guide you a little bit, just because I get to watch Public Market. Every single day, the Public Market has a specific event or program or specialty. And I think that's been a very unique guest experience that you're incorporating, because it goes beyond just operating every single day. So what are these guest experiences that you want people to have at Public Market with such a variety of experiences beyond the restaurants?
Well, what we found is it truly is a gathering place, and you know, we put it on the wall, Redding's gathering place, and we kind of manifested that, if you will. We knew it would be a place where people would come and want to linger. People don't just come and leave. Typically, they want to hang out, they want to be with family, they want to see friends. So being a gathering place is a little bit of a different model than, say, a restaurant, where part of the goal is to turn tables and, you know, move customers through. So we kind of have embraced it. Early on, you know, some of the staff was like, are we putting time limits on these tables, or what? You know, people can't find a place to sit. And we just made that decision that, you know, no, when you're there, you know, if you want to feel like it's your living room, then it's your living room. So that's part of it. The second part is that people are looking for something to do. People want something to do. They will come out and they will spend time if there's something to do. So we're trying to just provide that as much as we can. You know, it's a heavy lift to try to like program that space 365 days a year, but I'm gonna try. So we're kind of filling in, you know, we're starting with some recurring things and filling in as we go, but really just, you know, being the place where there's always something going on at the market. That's kind of what we're going for.
I love it. Brad, what are some things in both venues, CR Gibbs and Best Western, that you're looking out for or ensuring are all operating at top capacity for a positive guest experience?
So I think the two main things that stick out to me is having my staff be genuine. So it's really easy when you go into an establishment, any establishment, retail, hospitality, doctor's office, whatever it is, where you can kind of tell where if the person is on repeat all day long, and you know, hi, welcome in, you know, it's like, is that really a genuine greeting, you know? And I think it goes back to what everybody said, making, you know, when I look for things when I'm out of town or even in town, is that person genuine? Are they striking up a conversation because they want to? They love what they do, they love where they live, they love who they work for, and they're just truly happy. And so, you know, and then gaining that trust. So it's not only, you know, being genuine in your conversation, but getting to know your customers. We have repeat customers, as so does everybody else here, that, you know, after a while you get to know them. Hey, how's your dog doing? And just, you know, going outside the scope of hey, how you doing? Hey, have a great day. But really gaining that person's trust. And so you create a repeat customer at that point. They know what to expect. They trust your services and your product. And you as individuals, and they feel comfortable, and, you know, they go tell their friends, hey, this is where you stay, this is where you travel, this is, you know, I went to this great, you know, Glowing Wild thing, it was great, everybody was awesome. So just being genuine and trustworthy, I think is what I try to instill in my staff.
Well, Brad, I'm going to have you keep that, because since we have future business owners that are in the room, I want to hit, how do you curate these employees? Because you all have great employees, and the guest experience is always high. What do you look out for a strong employee, and how do you retain those employees?
Sure. So it's going to be position specific, but one thing that I look out for is when I get an interviewee, I can't teach them how to be a good person, or how to be, you know, respectful and nice and polite. And, you know, I can teach them a POS system, I can teach them how to take an order, but those genuine qualities and traits that you're either born with or you learn along the way through, how you grew up or where, whatever it is. So I don't necessarily always focus on the resume. I focus on, just that feel-good experience that I get from, the person that I'm talking to. And we're fortunate enough that we've been around and established long enough that we typically get people that have plenty of experience in our industry. So that's not really an issue that we run into on, maybe more entry-level positions. But, if I get a kid that was, on a sports team and he was the football captain, I know he's good at, he's a hardworking guy. He's going to show up on time. And, I talked to their coaches and, he had a great attitude. He was a good team player. So those are the traits that I look at through, all positions, not necessarily gauging them upon their actual experience. But, everybody at this table, well, besides Tessa, she doesn't have a restaurant or a hotel, but, I think we all tend to get people that are well established and they're looking to go to one of our places because we have a, pretty good track record and they know what to expect. They trust us and they know we're genuine, so they want to work for us.
I love it. Aaron? Because you have a staff of 150 people there?
Well, not directly. There's probably 150 staff in the market. Front Door Hospitality has, I think, 62, maybe 63. They don't all report to me directly, of course. But I love what you said, Brad, because we really did learn that right away, that hiring for experience isn't always the best approach. So I'll use Heads or Tails Bar as an example. We hired people that we had great bartending experience, and I think what you're kind of talking about here is getting people. You can't teach someone to care. You can't teach someone to care about people. And I've used the analogy before with staff of like, imagine that's your grandmother and she's spending the last $25 of her Social Security check and she's sitting there and she has a bad experience. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, think about that, and so people who care about people, absolutely. And some people can fake it really well, but most can't. And so we had a thing, like we had a little slogan in our bar for a while where we were really just trying to like drive it home. Like, you have to greet every single person that approaches that bar with a smile and a friendly greeting. And so we had this motto, greet or die, greet or die, greet or die, guys, greet or die. We just had this little thing where we just kept like repetitively trying to drive it home because it seems simple. But it's like the smile, it seems really simple, but when you get into the rote everyday work of it, it's easy for people to forget. So just kind of being really repetitive and finding people who care.
Well, I fully agree with both of you that you hire character and personality. Everything else I can train. Those two qualities, you've either been raised with them or it's really difficult to teach. So I'll change it up a little, and then my focus is on finding and grooming leaders. Finding those that want responsibility and want to lead and, guide them and help them to achieve their goals. For me, it's critical. We have over 225 employees, so those managers are the ones doing the work and treating them right and making sure that things are going well. So to me, that's a big part of my job.
What's kind of your, what is the retention policy at Sheraton? How do you guys keep a good retention with your employees? Because you have Mosaic and the Sheraton. So what are some things that you guys work on to keep those long-term employees so they can get to managerial roles?
So, it's a lot of things. Of course, treating them well and with respect is number one on my list. I always say treat them the way you want to be treated. So we talk a lot about that and treating each other that way. We spend a lot of time at work. We want to enjoy our time at work. So enjoy your job, be happy. So we preach that a lot. And then again, once you have that positive energy in the housekeeping department, for example, then they continue to build that. They hire the people that fit in, the people that have the right energy. And that's kind of self-fulfilling after a while. Once it's established, it's not hard to maintain, but it's establishing it that's the challenge. And for us, it's especially challenging that Garden of Lights and Glowing Wild is only a couple months, and then so we hire a lot of interim. We, I'll be honest, pick the best to stay and the rest leave, and then next year we do it all over again. So it's a constant rotating for us.
I love that. Before I move forward, I just want to see how are we doing on time to our, how many more minutes should we go? 10 minutes? Because I want to break out to questions from our audience and things that I probably didn't get to cover, because I think we have such a great panel that covers a lot of diverse areas of our industry. But before I pass it over to questions, y'all have already experienced Kool April Nites, you experienced the Redding Rodeo, you experienced Garden of Lights. These are already big events. How do you think Ironman's going to be different, and what are some ways that you're actually preparing for this specific event? And you can pass this, anybody can take this one.
Well, I actually experienced Ironman in Santa Rosa. I was in Santa Rosa in hotels for 20 years before moving to Redding. And the funny thing is that for us in Santa Rosa, when Ironman came into Santa Rosa, they also had taken over Vineman, a race that had been going on since late 80s, early 90s, and rebranded it an Ironman race. And so I think Sonoma County kind of thought that they knew what was coming. And as a hotelier, when Vineman came, branded, when Ironman brand came and not Vineman, we were all a little bit unprepared. So I'm really happy to hear that there's a relations manager for everybody that's affected by the race. Ironman is going to open up our region to a whole new tourism, wellness. People already know that we have amazing, world-renowned trails. This destination is incredible. I'm so excited for what Ironman is going to bring to Redding and the awareness that the rest of the world will get. Because this is truly a magical place that people are going to be flocking to very soon, in mass numbers.
Well said, Tessa.
I agree. I'm almost like, we're really letting the cat out of the bag here. I don't have any clue what to expect. I would guess that, being fully food and beverage, there's going to be a lot of very health conscious people, whereas with rodeo, Kool April Nites, you have a lot of people that like to eat
funnel
and drink.
Cakes.
And what's that?
They like funnel cakes and corn dogs at these events.
And beer.
And beer.
Lots of it. So they like to eat, drink, and be merry. This crowd may be a little different. So, we're just going to try and have something to offer them. Health-wise, and have plenty of options, and that's really all I got. I don't really know what to expect. We'll find out.
That's okay. Bradley.
Same question?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned Kool April Nites, you mentioned the rodeo. I think the difference, just from my perspective, is that this is, Kool April Nites is a city, can be a citywide. Even goes outside, Anderson, Chefs Lake, other little townships that we have. But this is, the way I envision it is this is encompassing our whole city. And I know we've been talking a lot about restaurants and hotels, but from gas stations to Dick's Sporting Goods and Fleet Feet. Did somebody forget their running shoes? Is going to get a boba tea and just all the things. And I think it's more of going to be more impactful to us as a city as a whole in a positive way. I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase how customer service oriented Redding is, how good of a community we are, what we really do have to offer. I think Tim's done a great job with being voluntold that he has to take this on, but for them to praise us and say, or praise you and say that we are more operationally ready than most at our stage, I think is a testament to how much we're determined to make sure people really get to know Redding. And It's going to impact quite a big geographical space, but I think it creates a lot of opportunity. It's not so, I don't know, I've never been to one, but maybe more opportunity for people to view it rather than being crammed in one spot. So I'm excited. I think it's a wonderful thing. I've been wanting something like this for a long time to come here, but I think it's different than anything we've ever done, and I really do think, like Tessa said, that it's going to put Redding back in people's minds when they travel now, maybe where they want to move, and it's going to create more opportunity. I'm sure, once you do an Ironman, I'm sure there's other things out there that we're going to be able to do as well. So it's a great door that's opening, and I think this panel that we put here, and all the work that they've done at Startup and with Choose Redding and Visit Redding, that I think we have our best foot forward, and I think it's a great opportunity.
I love it. Thank you, Bradley. I'd love to pass this to the audience for some questions. Does the audience have any questions? Raise your hand. Beautiful. John Sears, do you mind helping me? Or Rebecca? Beautiful. And please state your name and your question.
Hi, my name is Amy Brown. My question is, what are some things that you've learned from some of the big mistakes that you think that as upcoming entrepreneurs could learn from?
That's a good question. Yeah, if you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not bettering yourself, obviously. And I think it goes back to if we have, let's choose an example, if we get a review on our website and it's something that it's very easily fixable and that we can take care of it, or maybe it's a petty thing, but not addressing it is not the answer. What industry are you in? I'm sorry. That's right. Are you one of the Amy's? Yeah, the Amy's? Yes, okay. Yeah. So I think it comes down, for me personally, just in my industry, and you can kind of relate, is that customer feedback is the way to improve yourself. If you don't know something, how do you fix it? There's been a number of circumstances. We'll take Kool April Nites, for example. We had people complain about, small example, make it short. So we give parking spots to the front of the building with classic cars to the hotel guests. Been doing that for a number of years. We had a guy come in and he was complaining that he eats at our establishment every Sunday. Why can't he get a parking spot? And he got really upset. And what I told him was, hey, if you give me the opportunity, to stop yelling, that I am going to do everything I can to take care of you, because you take care of us by coming into our establishment. So, taking something that's a negative thing and turning it into a positive thing, all the little things add up. So just making sure that you are being, I guess that's a spot to be reactive, but try to be proactive. Maybe try to take that situation and learn from it and try to do better the next time. And so little things like that. I don't know if that directly answers your question, but.
I think one thing that I heard was Bradley said they're actively checking the reviews and fixing what people are saying. You're always checking on what needs to be improved. I think that's one of the biggest things and proactive. Is there anybody else that wants to hit that question? Yes.
Two things kind of go, one of them goes hand in hand, is the hardest thing is to get a customer in the door. And once you have that customer, you have to wow them and take great care of them. And sometimes we're so busy with so many other things that you forget what the most critical thing is, and that's to take care of that customer that walks in the door, make sure they keep coming back. The other point I had is more of a startup. Capital and funding is so important and so difficult. But the old saying is you should be able to run your business for a year without a profit. And if you can't, you're going to be challenged financially, because it takes time to get there and make a profit. So keep that in mind when you're ready to open a business, that you have the resources to survive a tough first year, because that is going to be normal. Mm-hmm.
Do we have another question?
Hey everyone, I'm Scott. My question was for you in the center. What was your name again?
Aaron.
Aaron. So couple questions. Actually, it's probably a two-part operational marketing question. Now that like maybe some of the hype and stuff has died down with the market, what do you guys do on like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to generate traffic and revenue and keep people coming in on those days? And then I guess the second part is this an effort that's done, you know, like with the restaurants and places that are inside where you guys all agree to certain like specials, or is it something that you guys are doing just on like the market side to get people in the door?
Thank you for that. So from the market side, the market management perspective, we really are the ones kind of running point on the programming side and, you know, whatever special events and things like that. Probably one of the hardest parts is getting all of the vendors to kind of come on board and participate and kind of get on board with the vision when they are in the weeds running their businesses. You know, they don't necessarily have time or energy for too much extra at times. And so it's hard to ask them, you know, to constantly innovate or offer or discount or participate, you know. So that can be a challenge, but, you know, I do my best. We are, you know, you're right, the hype has passed. And so it's like where the rubber meets the road of how do we stay busy. So we started our Sunday brunch. That's been going really well. We always have a musician playing live music. We want to be the brunch spot, or one of them, that is just a pleasant, nice place to go for brunch. So that's been going really well. So come to brunch, everyone. And Mondays, we started doing our trivia night. Tuesdays, we're going to be launching a family night with some different kind of activities sprinkled in. Like we have a community board game night tomorrow night that we've been doing on a monthly basis. So we're unique that way in that, you know, we're different from a traditional restaurant, but just trying to offer variety and keep it fresh as much as we can. We know that people are going to eventually get burned out on coming. So keeping it fresh, bringing variety, coming up with new ideas, and just, you know, trying to always have something new.
Do we have time for more questions? Eric has one.
Hello, my name is Eric. I work at Startup Redding. My question is based on a comment that Israel, you said. You were talking about a wow moment. And I would like to know if you think about that wow moment as something tactical that has been operationalized, or is it just overall we want customers to feel, wow, this was amazing?
A little of both. You know, people can do the wow part for you, but if you're a restaurant and the food isn't good, it's not going to work. If the atmosphere in the restaurant's too loud or not loud enough, you know, all those things matter. So yes, the people are huge and they can make a huge difference, but you need the whole package. And if you don't have, you know, the product to go with the service, it's still not going to work. So, anyone else want to?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. It kind of took the words right out of my mouth. You know, someone once told me they judge people's establishments based on how clean their bathrooms are. So I kind of, it's a weird thing to, you know, keep in the back of your mind, but, you know, in our industry, in any industry, when you walk into the building, the first interaction they have is going to set the tone for the rest of their experience, whether it's shopping or dining or drinking or staying in a hotel or going on a destination. So I think he encompassed the whole thing. It's a package from the landscaping to how you present yourself, you know, putting your money where your mouth is. If your product's good and your service is good, and all those things are top tier, I think the whole experience could be a wow experience. There are entities that do have single things that, you know, make you go, wow, that's on fire, or, you know, it's a drink that smokes, or, you know, when you take the top off or whatever it is. But I think in my industry, in my property, we try to make the whole experience a wow experience.
I love it. I'd love to just say thank you to the panel for being here tonight.